We covered Xbox Series X video settings so you can get the best visual experience from the console. Now it's time to talk audio, because the right sound setup can take games and movies to a whole new level. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and if you haven't seen our Xbox Series X video settings video, be sure to check it out. But right now, I want to talk audio settings. There's actually only a few, but if you're not familiar with some of the terms, they can be confusing. And also, there's a situation in which you may have to buy an app or a license, so not as straightforward as you might think. I'm going to run you through all of them and explain them clearly so you can get the best experience. Let's go. Before we dig into it, though, what kind of sound systems are you rocking at home? Soundbar, stereo, surround? Any of you have Atmos? Let me know down in the comments so we can talk about it. And while you're there, please click like and subscribe because it helps grow the channel. And a quick reminder that we've got affiliate links to products that we cover down in the description if you'd like to support us that way. As always, I thank you. Now, let's do it. So we'll run through everything in the audio portion of the Xbox settings menu in a moment. But first, let's talk about the different audio equipment and how you might get it connected. First, you've got your TV, which isn't the most impressive option for sound, but some TVs, like this LG C10 OLED, are Dolby Atmos compatible, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Then you've got your soundbar situation, which can be connected in two ways. Either you can run your console's HDMI output directly into the soundbar and then pass the video signal up to the TV, or you can connect the console directly to the TV and use the TV's ARC or eARC port to pass audio down to the soundbar. Now, since there aren't many soundbars that support HDMI 2.1, if you have a TV that does support HDMI 2.1, you definitely want to connect the Series X directly to the TV and use the ARC or eARC to pass the audio down to the soundbar. Another reason to connect directly to the TV is if you don't have an HDMI-equipped soundbar and need to go optical. Plus, honestly, if you're a competitive gamer and concerned about lag, best to connect directly to the TV in any circumstance. If your TV doesn't support HDMI 2.1, you can connect the Series X to the soundbar if you like, but keep in mind most soundbars only have a couple of ports, so you may be limiting your options or adding complexity in that case. With AV receivers, the story is a little different since there are a number of new receivers that do support HDMI 2.1 and with it EARC. eARC stands for Enhanced Audio Return Channel, and it allows uncompressed audio and formats like Dolby Atmos and DTS:X to travel via HDMI. So if you have a receiver that supports HDMI 2.1, then you could plug your console and any other device into the receiver, then send one HDMI cable to the TV, and you won't lose a thing between the console and the TV. This may introduce lag, though, so keep that in mind. Now, if your TV supports eARC, then you can connect the console to the TV, then bounce any audio signal you want back to the receiver. This would keep lag down, and you'll have your pick of which kind of audio format you would like to use on the Series X. In any case, anytime you add an HDMI cable to the mix here, make absolutely sure it's an HDMI 2.1 cable capable of delivering up to 48 gigabits per second. If you don't, then you'll basically be limited to 18 gigabits per second, and as I discussed in our video settings video, that's going to slap a bunch of limitations on you if you have a newer TV. So that's some setup advice. Now let's get into those settings. To get there, open the settings menu on the Series X, then navigate to General, and then Volume and Audio Output. Everything is right here. The first two on the far left here are Chat Mixer and Party Chat Output. Chat Mixer lets you control the volume of game audio relative to the chat you might be engaged in. By default, it's going to reduce the volume of the game audio down to 50%, but you can turn it down even more to 80% or off entirely. Or you can also have the Xbox do nothing at all and have chat and game audio at full volume. That could get a little muddy though. Party Chat Output determines where the chat audio goes. You can have it delivered to your headset, speakers, or both a headset and speakers if you want the whole house hearing what's going on in the chat room, which can either be hilarious or depressing. You know what I'm talking about. Now, here's the good stuff, speaker audio. Under HDMI audio, you're gonna have a few options. Stereo uncompressed at the top here is best if you're just using your TV speakers or a stereo soundbar or a soundbar with virtual surround, or maybe a 2-channel receiver. The next two, 5.1 uncompressed and 7.1 uncompressed, can only be passed over HDMI 2.1 or eARC, and as the name suggests, are completely uncompressed, lossless audio. It sounds great, but there are a few issues here, and one of them is that uncompressed audio takes up a fair amount of bandwidth and could get in the way of some video features. Also, there's no getting Dolby or DTS anything. All those Dolby and DTS options can only be sent via bitstream, which is our last option right here. So by selecting bitstream out, we unlock the section just below, which gives us DTS, Dolby Digital, and then two object-based surround formats, Dolby Atmos and DTS-X. Selecting DTS or Dolby Digital will get you the best possible version of either one of those formats that's available in the game, streaming service, or Blu-ray disc. This is fine for most receivers and even some TVs that support DTS or Dolby Digital internally. In most cases, in order to select Dolby Atmos or DTS-X, you'll need a surround receiver that supports them. Now, there are some TVs like the LG C10 OLED here that support Dolby Atmos internally, but for the most part, we're talking AV receivers. Now, again, you need to use eARC to get this to your receiver if you route the console directly to the TV. And no matter what, remember to use an HDMI 2.1 cable everywhere in the chain if your TV supports it. So, which should you pick, Dolby or DTS? That's entirely up to you, but Dolby is a far more common format, so I'd probably go that route. Now, let's say you're going to use a headset for the audio. If that's the case, you have a few different options. First, you have basic stereo if your headset has virtual surround and you really want to use it. But these next formats are way more convincing for headset surround. So my suggestion is turn off your headset's fake surround and use one of these, if you don't mind jumping through some hoops, that is. Windows Sonic for headphones is free, and it's Microsoft's own surround sound technology. To be fair, I've never used it, so I can't speak to its effectiveness. I have, however, used Dolby Atmos for headphones and DTS Headphone X, and it is scary how realistic it is. It's the closest thing to having a full-on surround sound system as I've ever heard, and both are very, very good. Here's the thing though, you have to pay for both. With Atmos for headphones, you've got to buy a license, and with DTS Headphone X, you have to download an app and ultimately pay up after a free trial. So my suggestion would be to compare that free trial to maybe Windows Sonic for headphones and see what you think. It might be worth the purchase if you're as impressed as I have been by the surround sound. And then if you're lucky enough to have an HDMI headset, click this button. All audio will go to the headset in this case. That is until you unplug the headset, and then it all goes back to normal. And that's all of them. Hopefully you're getting some awesome sound from your Xbox Series X, and believe me, it's only going to get better from here as game developers start leaning into Dolby Atmos and DTS-X. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. Did you find this video helpful? If so, leave me a comment down below. Always striving to get better. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and here's 2 other videos I think you'll like.